In today's video, we will be talking about gaits. Gaits are described as the specific way horses move. Each gait has something that makes it unique, including the pattern that the hooves land in and the speed of the gait. Each gait also feels distinctly different while riding. Before we look at the different gaits, there are a couple things you want to keep in mind. Firstly, gaits are split into two groups. There are natural gaits, which include the walk, trot, canter, and gallop. The majority of horses can naturally do these four gaits from birth. They don't have to be taught. Artificial gaits include all of the other gaits and the extra movement patterns separate from walk, trot, canter, and gallop. There are many types of artificial gaits, and a horse that is able to do them is described as being gaited. Not all horses are capable of artificial gaits, and many gaits are breed specific, meaning that only certain types of horses, certain breeds, have the ability to achieve them. Most gaits come naturally to those specific breeds, but they can also be improved with training. Secondly, all gaits are measured by their beat, which means how many footfalls hit the ground in a single stride. There can be 2, 3, or 4 beats in a stride. Third, gaits can be either lateral or diagonal. In diagonal gaits, the two opposite legs move together. In lateral gaits, the two legs on the same side move together. In diagonal gaits, there will be an uncomfortable switch from one side to the other, but in lateral gaits, they tend to be smoother and are easier on the rider. Now we will look at the natural gaits. Remember, these four gaits come naturally to the majority of horses and do not have to be trained. The walk is the slowest gait, and it is a 4-beat gait where each hoof hits the ground independently. The sequence of footfalls goes like this: left hind, left front, right hind, and right front. And from there, it repeats for every stride. You can see how each foot landing independently counts as a beat, which is what makes it a 4-beat gait. The average speed of the walk is only 4.3 miles per hour, so it's pretty slow. While walking, the horse will alternate between having 3 or 2 hooves on the ground at a time, and they also will move their head and neck in a slight up and down motion that helps them maintain balance. Ideally, the rear hoof oversteps the spot where the front hoof previously touched the ground. The more the rear hoof oversteps, the smoother and more comfortable the walk becomes. Individual horses and different breeds vary in the smoothness of their walk. However, a rider will almost always feel some degree of side-to-side motion with each step. The trot is a diagonal 2-beat gait that has a wide variation in possible speeds, but averages about 8 miles per hour. A very slow trot is sometimes called a jog, mainly in the Western disciplines. The record for the fastest trot under saddle was measured at 30 miles per hour, which is really fast. In this gait, the horse moves its legs together in diagonal pairs. The footfall goes left hind and right front at the same exact time, followed by a moment of suspension where all hooves are off the ground, before switching sides with right hind and left front. From a balance perspective, this is a very stable gait, and the horse doesn't need to make major balancing motions with its head and neck. The head and neck stay pretty still. Depending on the horse and its speed, a trot can be difficult for a rider to sit because the body of the horse drops a bit between beats and bounces up again when the next set of legs strike the ground. Each time another diagonal pair of legs hits the ground, the rider can be jolted upward out of the saddle and come back down with force. Therefore, at most speeds above the jog, especially in the English riding disciplines, riders will post to the trot, which means that they rise up and down in rhythm with the horse to avoid being jolted around. Posting is easy on the horse's back, and once mastered, it is also easy on the rider. A fast, uncollected racing trot, such as that of a harness racing horse, is almost impossible to sit. The canter is a 3-beat gait where one pair of feet strike the ground simultaneously and the other two land independently. Listening to a horse canter, one can usually hear the 3 beats. The footfall is right hind, followed by left hind and right front landing together, and finishing with left front, before a moment of suspension where all 4 hooves are off the ground. The average speed of the canter is 10 to 17 miles per hour, depending on the stride length of the horse. The canter, or lope as it is called for Western riding, will either be on what is referred to as a right or a left lead. In general, horses are to be on the right lead when they're going right, and on the left lead when they're going to the left. The leading leg is always the last leg to leave the ground before the moment of suspension, and that's how you can tell which lead the horse is on. Looking at this horse here, can you guess which lead it is on? If you said the left lead, you were correct, since that is the last leg to leave the ground before the moment of suspension. When a rider purposely tells the horse to pick up the wrong lead, it is called a counter canter. When a horse switches from one lead to another without breaking gait, it is called a flying lead change, and this is a movement commonly done in dressage. If a horse is leading with one front foot, but the opposite hind foot, it produces an awkward rolling movement. This movement is undesirable and is known as a cross canter, a disunited canter, or cross-firing. Like the canter, the gallop also has a right and a left lead. The gallop is much like the canter, they're very similar, except that it is faster, more ground covering, and the 3 beats changes into 4 beats. It is the fastest gait of the horse, averaging about 25 to 30 miles per hour, although the fastest galloping speed is achieved by the American quarter horse, which in a short sprint of a quarter mile has been clocked at speeds of 55 miles per hour. In the wild, horses gallop in order to escape from predators quickly, although they will seldom gallop more than a mile before they need to rest. In 1877, Leland Stanford settled an argument about whether racehorses were ever fully airborne. He paid a photographer to prove it photographically. The resulting photos, known as the horse in motion, were the first documented example of high-speed photography, and they clearly showed the horse airborne. The footfall of the gallop goes left hind, left front, and right front. Gaited horses have gaits beyond the 4 main ones. Most artificial gaits have 4 beats, and the movement is lateral in order to make them smoother to ride. Gaited horses often can move extremely fast and will outpace regular horses. Most gaited horses can naturally gait from birth, however, their movement is further enhanced with consistent training. The running walk is the gait characteristic of the Tennessee walking horse. This 4-beat gait is similar to that of a regular walk, yet faster. The average speed is 10 to 20 miles per hour. In the running walk, the hind hoof oversteps the front hoof print by as much as 18 inches. This way of traveling gives the gait a gliding motion. The running walk is also recognized by the horse's bobbing and nodding head and flopping ears in rhythm with the horse's legs. The slow gait is one of 5 performed by the 5-gaited saddlebred. This 4-beat lateral gait is also known as the stepping pace. In this gait, the horse performs a broken pace, with the hind and front leg on the same side, leaving the ground and landing at slightly different times. It is slow, controlled, and comfortable to ride. Besides the walk, trot, canter, and slow gait, the American saddlebred can also perform a gait known as the rack. The rack is a flashy, faster, more exaggerated 4-beat walk. Each foot meets the ground independently of each other. The rack is very similar to the slow gait, except that it is faster and the footfall is slightly different, with each step happening at equal intervals. The Tolt is a gait that is unique to the Icelandic horse breed. The Tolt is an extraordinarily smooth 4-beat gait which allows the rider an almost bounce-free ride, even at 20 miles per hour. It is said that the Tolt is so smooth a rider can drink a cup of water without spilling a drop. The footfall is the same pattern as the walk, but is much faster and has more freedom of movement. The pace is a fast 2-beat lateral gait where the feet on the same side strike the ground together. The pace is performed by standard-bred harness racing horses. The footfall pattern of the pace is both right feet landing together, the right hind and the right front, and then it switches to be the left hind and the left front. As the horse rocks from side to side, there is a brief moment of suspension where all 4 feet are off the ground. Pacers also tend to be faster than trotters. A fast pace is uncomfortable for riding and very difficult to sit because the rider is moved rapidly from side to side. The motion feels somewhat as if the rider is on a camel, another animal that naturally paces. However, a camel is much taller than a horse, and so even at relatively fast speeds, a rider can follow the rocking motion of a camel. Although the gait is faster and useful for harness racing, it becomes impractical as a gait for riding. However, in the case of the Icelandic horse, they have a pace which is known as the flying pace. It is a smooth and highly valued gait, ridden in short bursts at great speeds. The flying pace can reach speeds of 30 miles per hour, and being a 2-beat gait, there is also a moment of suspension. The foxtrot is most often associated with the Missouri Foxtrotter breed, but it is also seen under different names in other gaited breeds. The foxtrot is a 4-beat diagonal gait. The gait is sometimes described as having the horse walk with the front feet and trot with the back. In a foxtrot, the horse must keep one front foot on the ground at all times and display a sliding motion with the hind legs. The same footfall pattern is seen in various South American breeds. The Paso Fino breed has 3 distinct gaits. The Classic Fino, or Paso Fino, is a collected gait with rapid footfalls that covers as little ground as possible. It requires a high degree of collection. This is a slow gait reserved for competition. Walking, trotting, cantering, or any detected break from the rapid, evenly spaced sequence of steps to the ground will make the horse disqualified. The Paso Corto is a slightly more extended gait and it is used during trail rides. The speed of this gait is comparable to the speed of a trot, but it is much smoother. The Paso Largo is a fast, lateral, 4-beat gait in which the horse can reach speeds equivalent to a canter or a slow gallop, with some speeds going up to 30 miles per hour. The Paso Largo is not just an increase in speed, but also a distinct extension in stride, meaning that the stride of the horse actually gets longer. So those were the 3 gaits of the Paso Fino horse. Now we're going to look at the Peruvian Paso gaits, and the Peruvian Paso is actually a separate breed from the Paso Fino. The Peruvian Paso has 2 lateral gaits known as the Paso Llano and the Sobriandando. The first, the Paso Llano, has 4 equal beats in a 1-2-3-4 rhythm. This is the preferred gait. The second gait, the Sobriandando, is often faster. Instead of 4 equal beats, the beats are closer together in a 1-2-3-4 rhythm.